How's it going, everybody? So, I have this thought in my mind. I just watched this video from this guy named, what the heck is the name? Joshua Bushman. He's got some pretty interesting videos, some pretty good videos. And so he was making his video involving, was it eco-brutalism? And I hadn't finished the video, right? But I thought his videos was pretty interesting. And he spoke on why Gen Z why they have a near obsession with the idea of eco-brutalism, and he proceeded to explain the idea of brutalism, and also mention how the concept of having a life of deep concrete is almost like the reflection of a capitalist society that's essentially money driven, that it strips all the life and beauty of the earth to be a fully functionalist inorganic mass that essentially takes organic life of humanity captive. And so, in my opinion, one of the things that has defined Gen Z, at least from what I'm looking at, is essentially the angst of youth in regards to our current climate. The angst of youth is nothing particularly new, and even with Gen Z, it's not really new in this regard. I think, in my perspective regarding Gen Z, I think take into account the stuff they grew up in, which is like a pandemic. They grew up around, I want to say absurdism, but I'm not too familiar with absurdism. But they grew up around the riots. They grew up around the George Floyd incidents. So also, what's his name? I forget the heck what's his name. It's not Bono. It's I can't remember his name. He made this internet thing. God, why is this not working? But gosh, Bo Burnham. That's his name, Bo Burnham. He made this video in regards to the internet, and essentially, he probably lived in a middle class family. He made this internet album that essentially questioned his naivete. And why does this stuff keep happening? But yeah, he made this video. So this made me tied to a guy named Jack Stauber. He creates a lot of interesting topics that also involves what the heck is it? Not neoliberalism. Low something. I can't remember the term, but it's pretty much like a type of music, low key hip hop something, low vibe something, and it's great music. But the concept is essentially questioning your misconceptions about what you assume about reality. And it's typically, as a minority myself, and on the poor end, you don't get enough of not seeing how reality truly is. And for me, as a Christian black male, and also being in conservative circles, I have to see the conflict, given that I'm an anomaly. Now, mind you, also I'm a weird person, so that also adds to it. So I have personally had to think outside the box here, just based off my experiences and me just not being able to conform properly. I've been forced to look outside the box. So considering how Gen Z have this angst of questioning a world that already has a I guess a post-capitalist bent to it. this eco-brutalism seems to be a bit symbolic in regards to how they feel. Now, the idea of brutalism is essentially a pro-concrete buildings and things of that nature. And so, eco-brutalism is essentially, nature that's essentially overgrown, whether that's intentionally placed or unintentionally placed, and the organic life is just simply overgrown over the concrete. And that's very symbolic of the youth for today, where they challenge the status quo. Because nature moves in its own way. Nature doesn't care about the concrete structures, it just grows where it can. And similarly enough, the idea of quiet quitting with the Gen Z community, where if they're not interested in stuff, they will take action. They're not truly interested in just waiting it out or just conforming to a society. They will question that society. And this, again, like I said, this isn't anything new. We had the punk society with these suburban families leaving said comfortable quiet suburbs to now make a voice. You hear that from, you've seen it from the hippie community, post-depression, where they were tired of, they needed something that seemed to be a bit more authentic. They were taken care of by the two-parent households and two families, and the two cars, the house, crib, family, dog, and all that stuff, but they didn't get what they needed, which is essentially they needed their parents, and dad worked too much. And so I'm constantly seeing the outcry of the youth hungering for something that's authentic, hungering for something that is far more important than what they were given. And so I would definitely like to talk to Gen Z and see how they interact with the world, because I do find that for some reason we're doing a lot of criticism toward the Gen Z, but we're not really criticizing ourselves for birthing this generation. We're not criticizing, we're not really asking them, we're not giving them an opportunity to ask honest questions. And I really wish we would do that. That's why for myself, when they do this stuff called quiet quitting, I am not surprised. And I'm not surprised that they do that. But I do question our own methods of parenting them. And a society that's already kind of postmodern, they want rebirth. As far as I can tell, just looking at it, they want rebirth. They want to make their own choices. Again, in the emergent age of the millennia of the 2000s, we want to do the same thing. We want to make our own thing. We want to essentially fight against the corporate system. You can tell from the early Apple commercials where they had the lady with the I think it was a javelin or something, and then she essentially lunged at this monitor with a big corporate face on it, or like a face that was vaguely human, which is, that's essentially the corporate entity. It's not truly human, even though it postures itself to be human. And so the concept of youth is always great because it reignites, it resets humanity to re-engage with it. It doesn't just sit comfortably because we already did that. We already sat comfortably in this society. So now it's time to redo it. Let's re-engage with this culture that we've already been locked in with. And so I guess I don't have anything more to say. I'm just curious about how they're going to respond to this new age, especially with the next generation. I believe that's Gen Alpha. I could be wrong, but it makes perfect sense. We already tried it in the 2000s. We already seen Japan when they tried to create all these movies in response to Hiroshima and stuff like that. And probably, I'm not even entirely sure. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know. But I don't really have an end to this. All right.